The staff of Pokimane podcast recently revealed why they didn't want to release the Hassan Piker episode over the dog collar accusations with the shocking prongs. Let's read their statement, and then Pokimane's thoughts on it. Hey taste buds. This is a tough one to write, but we wanted to give you all a heads up that we're unfortunately going to be missing our first scheduled Saturday video tomorrow. We've been watching the recent drama unfold concerning our guest, and it's been getting intense. We had a serious talk as a crew, and we all agreed that it did not feel right uploading tomorrow's episode at this moment in time. Our community is our favorite thing, and the reason we do this is to create a space that is comfy as always and a true escape. We do not want to impact the cozy atmosphere we've all built together. Thanks for always supporting our vision for a fun, positive place to hang out. See you all next week. Sweet and Sour staff. Now, let's read Pokimane's statement too. The episode was supposed to air as usual, but staff refused to upload it out of fear it had caused drama, and also posted the statement without my approval. Sad face, sorry guys. We'll talk about everything on this week's episode, and go on a hiatus afterwards to restructure. The test rarely announces itself. It comes wrapped in routine. Another upload, another weekend, another episode to brighten the timelines of an audience seeking comfort. Yet sometimes the very intimacy that makes a space feel safe can turn against itself, revealing fractures long concealed by the glow of laughter and performance. In the case of the Sweet and Sour podcast, that quiet rupture arrived not in argument but in silence. The silence of a missing episode. A message to fans explained that the team had chosen not to release their next installment. The words, simple and polished, carried a weight that only those who have ever built something communal can understand. Behind every pause in a creative rhythm lies the friction of conscience, the question of what kind of world one wants to sustain. The situation, as it unfolded, touched upon something deeper than entertainment drama. It became a window into the moral infrastructure of digital creation. The hosts and staff of this show, whose appeal had long been anchored in warmth, laughter, and connection, were now confronting the tension between principle and production. They wanted, above all, to preserve a certain mood, the gentle energy of companionship that had drawn millions into their orbit. But the guest featured in their unreleased episode had recently been drawn into a controversy, an image, a rumor, a wave of indignation sweeping across social media. And so the team made a choice to protect their shared sanctuary from the noise outside. But even acts of caution have consequences. The lead figure at the center, Pokimane, soon clarified that this decision had not been hers. The show would take a break, she said, to reflect, to restructure. And suddenly, what had begun as an act of discretion became a mirror held up to the fragile trust between a creator and her own collaborators. To anyone observing from the outside, it might have seemed trivial, a scheduling issue inflated by gossip. But within the digital creator economy, the stakes are far higher. This world, built upon persona and perception, functions not unlike the mythic town square. Each creator is both vendor and product. Every action, whether to speak, to upload, or to abstain, becomes a statement of values. To delay an episode is to signal caution. To post one's disapproval is to assert autonomy. And when these signals contradict, when communication falters, the coherence of the entire community trembles. What fascinates me is not the conflict itself, but the ecosystem that produces such tension. The internet has birthed a new kind of creative labor, collaborative yet atomized, intimate yet transactional. For all the language of friendship and cozy community, the truth is that content creation sits at the crossroads of artistry and capitalism. Every decision, even one made in the name of peace, carries the shadow of brand management. The Sweet and Sour team, in withholding their episode, imagined themselves protecting their audience from discomfort. Pokimane, in responding publicly, imagined herself protecting her agency. Both sought preservation, but in different directions. That divergence tells us something about the burden of leadership in digital spaces. It is not enough to be charismatic. One must also become a custodian of values. Yet the internet demands constant motion, constant output, constant accessibility. Under that weight, even the most genuine collaborations can strain. What does it mean to build a space that is both safe and honest? How does one remain cozy in a world that feeds on outrage? There is a tenderness embedded in their hesitation. In choosing to withhold, the staff demonstrated care, a desire not to feed the machinery of spectacle. But tenderness without transparency can curdle into confusion. When the decision reached the public stripped of context, the meaning of the gesture inverted. What was intended as empathy appeared as paternalism. Fans read the silence as fracture, and in the space between messages, speculation bloomed. We live in an age where absence is never neutral. When something expected fails to appear, the void fills instantly with theories. This is the price of intimacy performed at scale. The more a creator invites the audience into their life, the more every omission feels personal. The Sweet and Sour community, accustomed to Saturday uploads, interpreted the pause as drama rather than deliberation. And perhaps they were not wrong. For behind every creative decision lies a small, invisible storm, the push and pull between conscience and commerce, trust and fear. Pokimane's public message added another layer to that storm. Her tone, apologetic but firm, revealed the loneliness of leadership. She bore the responsibility of being the face of a collective decision she had not endorsed. To speak honestly about that dissonance required courage. Yet her admission also illuminated the fragility of creative hierarchies built on friendship. In traditional media, roles are codified, producers decide, stars perform. But in the creator economy, boundaries blur. Staff and talent share memes, meals, and group chats. The business becomes family, until it doesn't. There is something deeply human about the friction that followed. On one side, a team trying to uphold the moral warmth of their brand. On the other, a host trying to maintain transparency with her audience. Both parties, in their own ways, were protecting the same thing, a sense of belonging. That their methods diverged only underscores how precarious digital belonging truly is. I think often about the weight of community in such spaces. The audience for a podcast like this, one doesn't merely consume, they commune. They seek solace in familiar voices, in the ritual of laughter and small talk. To disrupt that rhythm is to disturb a delicate ecosystem of comfort. The staff, sensing the potential intrusion of scandal, sought to guard that serenity. But serenity, like truth, cannot be manufactured. It must be earned anew each day. What their story illustrates, then, is the cost of authenticity in an age obsessed with optics. The team feared that by airing a controversial guest, they might taint their image of wholesomeness. Yet authenticity demands risk, the risk of imperfection, of discomfort, of being misread. The irony is that by trying to preserve safety, they stepped into the very drama they hoped to avoid. The internet rewards performance, not reflection. It demands immediacy, respond now, explain later. But moral clarity rarely arrives on schedule. The staff's decision, though born of good intent, unfolded within a machinery that interprets every gesture through the lens of virality. Even silence becomes content. Even absence becomes discourse. And so a missed upload transformed into a cultural parable. It spoke of trust and miscommunication, of the tension between community and individuality, of how even the best-intentioned choices can fracture under public scrutiny. It's tempting to laugh at the absurdity of it all, to dismiss it as another case of online overreaction. But to do so would be to miss the truth at its core, that digital creators today are negotiating not merely with audiences, but with morality itself, mediated through screens.